I know what it feels like for me being a longtime fan and observer. What about a guy like you who has won a Heisman Trophy for this school and has won big games for this school and is sitting on the set of one of the most watched college football shows in the history of such things over the last few years? What is this like for you to see this?
You know what
Michigan,
it is for me, Rich, to be completely honest with you, is just I'm happy for the coaches, the coaching staff, and the players, you know, because they've been through so much. And I was talking to I was at a game and talking to one of the really popular music exec named Steve Stout. And Steve Stout said, yeah, well, you know, you guys are ready to get rid of Harbaugh. I said, well, you know, Steve, the thing is, like, those of us who actually know what's happening, we never really felt like that. I said, it's just like you know, you've had all sorts of musical artists, right? I said, but you know that there are artists that has great potential, but then there are people out there in the media who are sitting out there and they're carving up this artist. But you as an exec, you know what's happening behind the scenes, why this artist just might not be reaching his potential just yet, but you don't give up on the artist. I said, so when I put it in a language like that, then he understands exactly what I mean about that's the noise outside. But people who were inside understand what was really happening wasn't really as quick to give up on Coach Harbaugh. And so I'm happy that the decision makers didn't pull the trigger, because we see decision makers all over college football pulling the trigger haphazardly on some of these head coaches. But they didn't pull the trigger. They stuck with them. They made some adjustments. They made some changes. And now a team that wasn't even picked to finish in the top 3, I think they were picked to finish 4th in their own division, is picked as the number 2 team in the nation. Now, who saw that coming?
I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So so the point is, I'm just so happy for the decision makers, for Coach Harbaugh, and for those kids who've been dealing with so much for so many years to be where they are, because they kept fighting the good fight and they stayed on course, and it has paid big dividends for them so far, and it's going to pay even bigger dividends for them down the road.
And then how about the blossoming of one of your teammates' kids into a Heisman Trophy candidate, which I think Aiden should be. What is that like to watch a kid of a teammate do what he's doing for the school, Des? That's insane.
Again, you know, you're so happy for the kid, Rich, because don't forget, now, this is a kid who last season was going to be, I think, projected to be a first-round draft pick, and then he, you know, broke his ankle. And then, you know, he's crying, and people are like, well, should he come back? Should he just, you know, rehab and go to the NFL? And this kid made a commitment, you know, to himself, to his teammates, to his coaches, to come back. You know why he wanted to come back? He wanted to come back to finish the job, to win a Big Ten championship with his team. And he came back and did it. Not only that, now he's like a top 5 pick, and he's, you know, and hopefully I'll see him in New York on Saturday. So, I mean, it's just a sweet story, and got a lot of credit. And Chris is his dad, who I played with, and man, what is just a wonderful man he is, and his wife, and what they've done raising Aiden. So just kudos to them as a family.
I'll be honest, I can't believe this is happening. You know, I always hoped. As Des, you know, I had you on when the show was first beginning 7 years ago. I had you on. I had Steve Hutchinson, no relation, and I had Woodson on, and I'm like, we got to get Harbaugh. We got to get him. And I remember I looked at Harbaugh when he was on the sideline of the Ravens years ago, when he was either at Stanford or he just was going to Stanford, and he was running off the field on a Saturday night because the college football season was over, and he was wearing a Ravens gear. He was on the sideline of I think it was the night that the Ravens closed down Old Texas Stadium. And he runs past the set, and I'm like, you got to come home, man. And he smiled at me and nodded at me and ran into the tunnel, because this was what I was envisioning. I didn't think it would take 7 years, to be honest, but I can't believe it's happening, Des. I cannot believe it is happening, and it is the greatest thing. I said it's the greatest fall I've ever had, and I know you're professional, and you know I can be somewhat here because my job is to actually talk from the heart, my gut from the show. The fact that they beat Ohio State and deny Notre Dame a seat at the table, I'm not done yet. I'm sorry. And tell Michigan State, with their big win, and it was a tremendous win for them, tell Michigan State, hey, that was a peach of a win. Enjoy the Peach Bowl. And that was just all it was. All it was is just one of those character-building moments on our journey to maybe the greatest season in the history of Michigan football. It's the greatest thing. This is the greatest fall I've ever had. My kids were not born in the fall. I wasn't married in the fall. This is literally the greatest fall I've ever had. This is amazing.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's incredible to watch this journey unfold the way it has. And like you said, he was the one that everyone wanted, and things didn't shape out the way we anticipated, and people started to make all these jokes about Michigan and Harbaugh, and people coming down so hard on him. And like I said, it would have been easy to just fire him. If he was any other school, like if this happened down in Columbus, he'd have been gone years ago, because it's just a different breed down there, and other places too. But they stayed the course. They made some changes. They understood what was happening behind the scenes, and look at them today. So kudos to them.
ESPN's Desmond Howard, College GameDay's Desmond Howard, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did the committee get it right, 1 through 4, seating him the way that they did? They get it right?
It's hard to say. I mean, my when they asked me, my top 4, Michigan was number 1. Alabama was 2, Georgia was 3, and Cincy was 4. That was my own personal feelings towards the order. But they put Bama up there. It's hard to knock that one. Bama and Michigan were, to me, flip a coin. It was you had a strong argument for either, because you got to give Bama credit for doing what they did. I mean, not only did they beat the number 1 team in the country. I mean, don't forget, Georgia's like wire to wire regular season, like the best team in the country, the best defense in the country. And for them to go and carve that defense up the way that they did was incredible. I mean, it was like the Michigan-Ohio State game. You left that game with a clear understanding of which team was the better team. There was no doubt in your mind who was the better team. When you left the SEC championship game, there was no doubt in your mind that Alabama was the better team. It wasn't like, man, they kind of got lucky, and, man, if they played again, it was like, they had a bad call. No. Alabama was the better team. So with them knocking off number 1, they had a hell of an argument. So that's why they got the nod.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.